Cyber Dopamine here. So I'd assume you've got friends and family or a girlfriend or someone who doesn't like it when you play video games. Gaming's a waste of time, you could be doing more with your time. Obviously without moderation, that's so valid. But I can't help but notice that the ones that typically tell you that gaming is a waste of time are also the same people that spend a lot of time doom scrolling on TikTok, binge watching Love Island. And I realized this and I'm like, all right, let me do some research on the difference between gaming and doom scrolling, social media, right? Smartphone, screen time, things like that. And I'm about to blow your mind with some crazy facts. To sum it up, gaming is healthy, doom scrolling is not. I first want to bring up the fact that I believe social media has really fried our attention spans. Put this into perspective here, right? I'd assume, you work a job, I hope you do, and you come home from work and you're driving home and you're like, I'm going to go play a game. And I've talked about this before. Oh, I can't wait to hop online on Call of Duty or whatever it is, And you get home, I have all the good games, I've got the Red Deads, the Call of Duties and the Battlefields, but for some reason, I just don't want to freaking play them right now. And what you do is you turn off your computer, you go in bed and you start doom scrolling through the freaking TikToks, man. You just freaking start ripping the YouTubes, bro, and the Twitters, These algorithms, these social media platforms have become so good at what they do, feeding you what you want, that these past couple of months, I've resorted to doom scrolling instead of playing video games. So I'm about to blow your mind right now. The average screen time for Gen Zers is a little over 9 hours a day. Okay? I found this hard to believe. So what I did is I contacted my friends and family and I had them screenshot their screen time for me to take a look at. And here's one I got, 5 hours and 34 minutes. It's pretty good. It's healthy, consistent, whatever. All of a sudden, boom, 9 hours and 52 minutes. I'm like, holy crap, 8 hours and 28 minutes. And look at this, YouTube, 11 hours on the week. TikTok, 9.5 hours on the week. Another 9 hour and 52 minutes. 8 hours and 28 minutes. The freaking proof is in the pudding right here. And the reason why I bring that up is because if you were to tie it into gaming, most of the screen time that we're doing, 60-something% of it is social media. The rest is productivity. And I get social media is good. It's good to know what's going on around you. But if you're to replace, 30 or 40% of that, 60% with gaming, I just want to let you know that there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it is encouraged that you game instead of going through these freaking endless For You pages. So check this out. I did a lot of research and I'll put the articles in the description, but I want to show you two things that really freaked me out when I read them. There was a study done with about 150,000 participants in the UK. It's from UK Bio. They do a lot of this stuff. This one was aimed towards Alzheimer's and it has nothing to do with gaming, but what this article highlights is that, they had to separate people that have different hobbies, right? So people that play more than 5 hours of games a week were put in a specific category, other hobbies like biking and things like that. To get to the point, those that played games frequently had up to a 19% less chance of developing Alzheimer's than when compared to those who never played games. And I checked its credibility. And I encourage you to check it too. These guys know what they're doing, and this is what they're claiming in this article. Obviously, it's an up to 19%, right? It can vary from 1 to 19. But regardless, that potential is a huge deal. So I'm about to show you another article that will freaking blow your mind. And you've probably heard about this one before. So it's called The Impact of Video Games on Training Surgeons in the 21st Century. And I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to sum it up. Current video game players made 32% fewer errors and performed 24% faster and scored 26% better overall when compared to their colleagues that don't play video games. And this is in regards to surgeons, people that freaking work on the body. Also, you guys don't have to sub if you don't want to sub, but if it's your vibe, it's your vibe. You do you. But there's a part of your brain called the hippocampus. And I'm not I'm not going to go into that, right? This is not my job. It's the part of your brain that renders short-term and long-term memory, and then also is kind of responsible for like spatial mapping. So like the environment around you and memorizing where to go and where not to go, and like, you know, you get the point. But that part of your brain when you're gaming is working out constantly. Whereas when you're consuming content, when you're doom scrolling on TikTok, you are being fed information that is just given to you on a platter. With gaming, you are hunting for your food, right? You are outsmarting the other person who's trying to gun you down, and you're deciding to run back this wall and then jump through the window and flank them from behind. You are constantly using critical thinking and problem-solving ability to outperform the other opponent in the game that you're playing. You're trying to win. So your brain is working constantly when you are gaming. It depends on the game too. You know, like Elden Ring, yeah, bro, you're at 100, you know, but you play a game like Stardew Valley, you're still using your brain, but not to the extent of which you would on Call of Duty, right? First-person shooters and things like that. But here's another study. This one's crazy, and the link is below. They did a study with a bunch of kids. Kids would score 2.5 points higher with IQ than those that wouldn't play video games. That's another one. You can read about it. I'm just skimming it off the top. I mean, the evidence is there that gaming is pretty good for the brain. And I'll back myself up by saying, obviously gaming isn't the healthiest option or the best thing you should be doing. Without moderation, yeah, it could be a waste of time. But now let's look at the opposing side of the team, which is short form content and just consuming content in general, doom scrolling. But before that, I want to give a shout out to Ugreen. I'm sure you get tired carrying a freaking bag full of cords everywhere you go. This is why this thing has been so essential in my life from here on out. It's the Ugreen Nexode 165 watt retractable power bank. And it's got this built-in retractable USB-C cable. So it's almost 2 feet long. You can pull it out as far as you need, lock it in place, and when you're done, you snap it back and it retracts. It's super clean. There's no tangles, there's no mess, no digging through your bag for another cable. And it's super durable. It's tested for 25,000 retractions and 10,000 bends. And don't let the size fool you. This thing is a freaking powerhouse. It's got 20,000 milliamp capacity. So it's airline approved and you can take it on a plane, but it's enough to charge an iPhone almost 4 full times. And when you need speed, it'll push 100 watts out of a single port or 165 watts split across the 2 USB-C ports. That's enough to take your MacBook Pro from 0 to 54% in 30 minutes. Plus, you've got 3 ports total. You've got 2 USB-C and 1 USB-A. So you can keep your laptop, phone, and tablet all charging at once. And yes, it'll even handle handhelds. Plug in a ROG Ally or a Steam Deck, and it's got the juice to keep them running in turbo mode while you play. There's also a smart TFT display on the front so you can actually see what's going on, battery percentage, wattage, voltage, all in real time. And if you pair it with the Nexode 100 watt retractable charger, when you're plugged in, you can basically get a hassle-free travel kit that makes carrying cords a thing of the past. So check out the links in the description for up to 30% off. Because this is such a new thing, these new short form videos is such a new thing, there's not a lot of studies going into the brain, not a lot of MRI scans. But what we can take away based off the research that has been done, there's a really big thing going on when you're going through short form content. You know, you're swiping through one thing and it's a June bug. It's a documentary about a beetle. Then the next it's about an F-35 fighter jet. Then the next it's about something sad like a dog dying, right? You get sad all of a sudden, and then you swipe again and it's something happy like my boy James freaking giving somebody $1,000 at Walmart. What I've found though, and what the studies found, is that even though you're consuming a lot of information, you could say you're learning a lot as the minutes go by with you scrolling. It's actually proven now that by constantly changing your emotions by what you're seeing so drastically, it actually can kind of knock your response system off a little bit to where you're gonna have more stress, more anxiety, and depression. But the other issue is that when you're doom scrolling, you're gaining so much information at once that your brain eventually decides to cut out what is not important, right? And the more you doom scroll, the more your brain gets strict on what it will intake and what it won't. And so it'll only start taking in the things of highest importance for you to remember. And the reason why that's a problem is because it's training your brain to only look for the things that are extremely impactful, and then it disregards the information that is even relatively impactful, raising your brain's standards of what it should intake for information and memory. Now, I don't have numbers to back me up. No articles showed me exact numbers, which is kind of scary if you think about it. This is something that everybody's dealing with, doom scrolling, but there's not a lot of evidence about the brain and how it reacts to doom scrolling. If you know this channel, it's a handheld focused gaming channel, right? Like, it's all about, the Steam Deck. We now have handhelds that can render these amazing games like it's no problem, right? We can play them on small form factors instead of stationary Xboxes and PCs. And this has really been a big game changer for me, because now I've caught myself doom scrolling so much. And what I do is, when I catch myself doing that, because a lot of, we can doom scroll and not know we're doing it. We get so sucked in that we don't even know that 2 hours has gone by. I've been more aware of when I catch myself doing this. And what I do is I turn off my freaking phone. Well, I just put it to sleep. I'm not going to be crazy about it. And then I turn on my Steam Deck and I start playing games. And maybe it's a game I've already beat before. Maybe it's a game that I don't really want to play, but I play it anyways. And I'm not going to tell you that I've noticed a difference in my life. Like, it's not like those medication commercials where they're like freaking on top of a skyscraper just like this, full of life. But I mean, hey, at least I'm not getting stuck in this brain rot freaking machine that these giant tech companies have successfully created. I feel less like a victim. I want to put this into perspective for you. Ready? We're all guilty of doom scrolling TikTok, and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. When was the last time you spent a long time doing so? For me, it was last night before bed. A little bit today even. I probably went through yesterday like 150 TikToks. So figure that out and then ask yourself, what do you remember from what you saw? Obviously, you're not going to remember going through 150 TikToks, but you do remember key moments, right? For me, it was the beetle. Beetle rolls his poo. It's a June bug in the desert. Pretty weird. And an F-35 fighter jet and its capability and maneuverability in the sky. I remember those two, and a lot of Ozzy Osbourne, right? I went through 150 TikToks. And that's all I can recollect off the top of my head. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you played a video game, right? For me, it was Ready or Not on this handheld right here, AOK Zoe A1X. But I remember walking into this building. I remember which doors had trip mines behind them. I have the whole house mapped out in my head from that one time playing it, right? Like, my memory is so sharp with this map that I played because it's high intensity. My brain is very focused on trying not to die and trying to basically, as any SWAT team would, infiltrate or go in there, and clean it up. Without getting shot or without your guys getting shot at. My memory with my gaming is so good. Elden Ring, for example, you have to memorize all the controls. You have to memorize what everything does. Like, what does the stinky salamander do when you pick it up? Like, obviously it's for this and that. You have to memorize that. I don't know, guys. I just wanted to bring this up. It's just a rant, but more handheld content coming out later. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video, yo. Bet. Okay.